Hello. If you have a child who's got an additional need and who also lashes out and physically hurts you and other people, it's almost certainly not that they're being naughty. They don't hate you, they're not doing it deliberately, and in fact they probably have very little control over how they're behaving at all. It might look a lot like willful and nasty anger and aggression, but it really isn't. It's almost certainly anxiety. Anxiety doesn't really feel like the right word to use though, because we always think of that in terms of being very passive, quiet and unassuming. I think it can help to substitute the word fear instead of anxiety, and it makes more sense to understand how frightened, distressed and overwhelmed our children feel during these episodes. We'll look in later top tip videos at some of the things that can cause our children to become so frightened, anxious and distressed and overwhelmed. When fear kicks in to such a huge extent as it can do with some of our children, the fight, flight and freeze response takes over, triggered by our autonomic nervous system. It's an instinctive reaction to danger, evolved to keep us safe, and once triggered it's entirely outside our own control. It's a biological reaction to feeling threatened and fearful. And thousands of years ago, this response was incredibly useful when we lived in caves and had occasional encounters with predators who wanted to eat us all up for their dinner. To stay alive, this instinct gave us three basic options. We could stand our ground and stay and fight, hoping to win our way to survival. Or we could take flight, which basically means running away as fast as our legs can carry us. Or lastly, we could freeze, which means either playing dead or hiding or both, in the hope that the grizzly bear or whatever it is doesn't notice us and walks on past. So when your child is launching an attack on you, they're already past the point of rational thought, where they actually realise that they're hurting mum or dad. What they're actually doing is what we've all been pre-programmed to do for thousands of years. They're fighting for their very survival. This is such an important point for us as parents to take on board. Understanding this is the very first step in being able to help our children reduce their violence at home. It isn't and it never was their fault, and they don't do it because they hate you. Tip number 1 is to think of it differently. See it instead as our child's way of telling us how frightened and under threat they really feel right now. All behaviour is a form of communication, and when a child with additional needs lashes out at mum or dad, please try to see it as their way of letting you know that they're actually crying out for help. It's their way of saying, Mum, Dad, I feel terrible. Please, please help me. Okay, hope that helped, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for staying and listening. Thanks, goodbye.